Step into the shadowy streets of Chicago, where a chilling mystery has left over 50 women dead, and the city's silence echoes through the alleys and abandoned buildings. The wind howls through the empty alleyways of Chicago, carrying with it the echoes of a dark and haunting mystery. The city, known for its vibrant culture and bustling streets, hides a chilling secret beneath its surface. Over the last 2 decades, more than 50 women have been found strangled in the city's abandoned buildings and dark alleyways, their lives cut short in the most brutal of fashions. Despite the striking similarities among these cases, the Chicago police refuse to entertain the idea that they might be connected. But what if they are wrong? What if a serial killer, known to some as the Chicago Strangler, has been stalking the streets of this once great city? Imagine yourself walking through the gritty and often overlooked neighborhoods of Chicago, the kind of places where the city's struggles are laid bare. It's here, in the shadows of the towering buildings and the desolate alleyways, that the bodies of vulnerable women have been found. These women, primarily African American, were often sex workers or had a history of substance abuse and run-ins with the justice system. Their lives, already fragile, were tragically cut short, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a city in shock. The first victim was found in 2001, her body discovered in an abandoned building on the south side of Chicago. She was young, in her late teens, and showed signs of strangulation. The police treated it as an isolated incident, a tragic but not uncommon occurrence in a city with high levels of violent crime. But as the years passed, more bodies began to turn up, each one eerily similar to the last. The pattern was undeniable. Young women, often of color, found strangled and partially or fully stripped, their bodies discarded in isolated or abandoned locations. The similarities in the cases are striking. The victims, ranging in age from their late teens to late 50s, were largely marginalized and vulnerable members of society. Many had histories of sex work, which made them easy targets for a predator who knew how to exploit their circumstances. The method of killing was consistent. Nearly all the women were strangled or asphyxiated, often with a plastic bag placed over their heads. Their bodies were left in places where they would easily be found, a detail that is unusual for normal murders but more common in the work of a serial killer. The geographical locations of the murders also play a crucial role in the theory of a single killer. Many of the murders occurred in just 3 police districts on the south and west sides of Chicago, areas known for their high levels of violent crime and drug use. Washington Park and Garfield Park, in particular, have been common locations for these murders. This clustering suggests that the killer may have a specific familiarity with these areas, potentially living or working nearby. In 2018, the Murder Accountability Project, MAP, reviewed the data on over 50 unsolved murders involving strangulation or asphyxiation in Chicago since 2001. Their algorithm sorts unsolved homicides by location, victim profile, and killing method, identifying clusters associated with low homicide clearance rates. The results were alarming. MAP's algorithm found a strong cluster of these murders, suggesting the presence of a serial killer in the area. The timeline of the murders also supports this theory, with a significant break in the killings from 2014 to 2017 before they began again. This break could indicate that the killer was briefly incarcerated or had moved away, only to return and continue his activities. Despite the compelling evidence presented by organizations like MAP, the Chicago police have repeatedly dismissed the idea that a serial killer is responsible. They argue that there is no hard evidence linking all the cases. Although many of the victims were killed in similar ways and found in similar conditions, no concrete DNA or forensic links have been established. The police claim to have collected 21 DNA samples from half the crime scenes, and each sample is different, suggesting multiple perpetrators. Moreover, the police have closed more than 20 of the cases and arrested 13 men, although only one case has been marked as solved. They attribute the unsolved cases to the high crime rates in the areas where the women were found, suggesting that the murders are the result of broader social and economic issues rather than the actions of a single killer. Criminologists and analysts have supported this argument, noting that areas with elevated levels of violent crime, drug use, and poverty often experience lower homicide clearance rates. The fact that nearly all the victims were vulnerable and had engaged in sex work also means they were statistically more likely to meet a tragic end. The debate about a single killer versus multiple perpetrators continues, but there is a bigger issue at play. Over 50 vulnerable women, most of them of color, have met grisly ends in Chicago over the last 20 years. The reasons offered by authorities as to why their murders remain unsolved are arguably even more disturbing than the idea of a serial killer. If these deaths are not the work of a single killer, then Chicago has the murder of 50 vulnerable women to answer for. The silence surrounding these cases is deafening. As John Fountain, a journalism professor at Roosevelt University, put it, "I am convinced that if there were 51 dogs killed in the city of Chicago, people would be up in arms, but we aren't." The sad fact is that these women, because of their marginalized status, seem to be forgotten by society. Their lives, already fraught with challenges, have been further diminished by a system that seems content to ignore their deaths. As we walk through the dark alleys and abandoned buildings of Chicago, the weight of this unsolved mystery hangs heavy in the air. The question remains, who is responsible for these crimes, and why has the city been so slow to respond? The Chicago Strangler, whether real or a product of the city's collective anxiety, has left a lasting scar on the windy city. The search for answers continues, but the longer it takes, the more the wounds of the past will continue to fester. The story of the Chicago Strangler is a reminder of the power of silence and the importance of giving voice to the marginalized. It is a call to action, a plea for justice, and a testament to the resilience of those who refuse to be forgotten. As we continue to peel back the layers of this mystery, we are reminded that the truth, no matter how dark, must be brought to light. For the sake of the 50 women who lost their lives, and for the countless others who have been affected by this tragedy, the search for the Chicago Strangler must go on. What do you think lies behind the mystery of the Chicago Strangler? Is it the work of a single killer, or are these deaths a tragic reflection of deeper societal issues? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below, and if you're intrigued by these hidden chapters of history, don't forget to like and subscribe for more immersive journeys into the unknown.